Have you ever wondered how our ancestors managed to conquer vast territories with the rudimentary weapons they had? It's a question that takes us back to the dawn of warfare, to a time when our forebears, armed with little more than stones and sticks, first began to organize themselves for the purpose of conflict. In the Stone Age, the first battle tactics were born out of necessity and the basic instinct for survival. The weapons were simple, yet effective. Sharpened stones, wooden spears, and clubs were the order of the day. But it was not the weapons themselves that marked the true beginning of warfare. Rather, it was the way our ancestors used them in a coordinated and strategic manner. The formation of hunting parties was a significant step in this evolution. These were not just random groups of individuals. They were organized units, each member with a specific role to play. Some would drive the prey towards a certain location, others would lie in wait to deliver the killing blow. This was, in essence, the first example of a military formation, a tactic that would become a cornerstone of warfare in the centuries to come. But warfare wasn't solely about offense. The development of the first fortified settlements marked a significant shift in how our ancestors approached defense. These settlements, surrounded by walls and other barriers, offered protection against enemy attacks. They were the first strongholds, the precursors to the fortresses and castles that would dominate the landscapes of later eras. These early tactics may seem primitive to us now, but they were revolutionary in their time. They laid the groundwork for the complex strategies that would follow, changing the nature of warfare forever. The lessons learned in the Stone Age, the successes and failures of those early conflict strategies, all contributed to the evolution of warfare. As we'll see, these early strategies were the foundation for the more complex battle tactics that would emerge in the Bronze Age. With the advent of the Bronze Age, warfare took a significant leap forward. As societies advanced, so too did their methods of warfare. The Bronze Age brought about one of the most influential innovations in military technology, the chariot. These swift, two-wheeled vehicles, typically drawn by horses, revolutionized the battlefield, giving armies a significant advantage in speed and mobility. Chariots allowed soldiers to strike swiftly, then retreat before the enemy could respond effectively, changing the dynamics of warfare dramatically. But the Bronze Age was not just about technological advancements, it also marked the formation of organized armies. No longer were battles just a chaotic clash of warriors. Instead, soldiers were arranged into formations, each with a specific role to play. This organizational structure allowed for greater control and coordination on the battlefield, leading to more effective and efficient combat. One of the most notable examples of the importance of formations and discipline in battle is the Battle of Kadesh, fought between the Egyptian and Hittite empires. The Egyptians, under the leadership of Pharaoh Ramses II, utilized a formation known as the Horned Wall. This formation, with its protruding horns, was designed to envelop the enemy, creating a pincer effect. Despite being outnumbered, the disciplined formation and tactics of the Egyptians allowed them to hold their own against the Hittite forces. Discipline was also crucial in maintaining formations. Soldiers needed to trust their comrades and leaders, sticking to their positions even in the face of overwhelming odds. This discipline often proved to be the difference between victory and defeat. The Bronze Age truly marked a turning point in the history of warfare. The introduction of chariots and the formation of organized armies laid the groundwork for the future of military strategy. This era saw the first true armies, complete with disciplined formations and advanced weaponry. But as we'll see, the best was yet to come. The tactics and strategies that emerged during the Bronze Age were just the beginning. The following ages would continue to build upon these foundations, shaping the face of warfare for centuries to come. The Iron Age brought about a revolution in battle tactics. This period saw the rise of the phalanx formation, a military strategy that transformed the face of warfare. Picture a wall of shields and spears, a moving fortress that was virtually impenetrable. This was the phalanx, a formation of soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder, shields interlocked and spears pointed forward, ready to strike. The phalanx was more than just a formation. It was a testament to discipline and unity. Every soldier knew his role and carried it out with precision. This formation was only as strong as its weakest link. If one soldier faltered, the entire formation could collapse. The Battle of Marathon provides a perfect example of the effectiveness of the phalanx formation. There, the Greeks used the phalanx to great effect against the invading Persian forces. Despite being outnumbered, the Greeks held their ground, their phalanx formation proving a formidable barrier against the Persian onslaught. Eventually they emerged victorious, demonstrating the power and effectiveness of this innovative battle tactic. But the Iron Age didn't just bring us the phalanx. It also saw the advent of siege warfare. This was a game changer, a strategic shift from open-field battles to targeted attacks on fortified cities and castles. The Siege of Tyre is a prime example of this tactic in action. Alexander the Great, in his pursuit to conquer the Persian Empire, was met with the heavily fortified island city of Tyre. Instead of a direct assault, he opted for a siege. He constructed a causeway to reach the city, built siege towers to bring down its walls, and eventually, after 7 long months, Tyre fell. This marked a significant point in warfare history, as it demonstrated the effectiveness of patience, resourcefulness, and strategy in overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles. With the development of siege warfare and the phalanx, warfare became a truly strategic endeavor. But even these tactics would soon be outpaced by the innovations of the classical era. In the classical era, warfare became an art. This was the period when battles were no longer just about brute force and superior numbers. Instead, it was about the clever use of resources, understanding the terrain, and outthinking the opponent. This marked the birth of strategy. One of the most iconic examples is the Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE. Here, the Carthaginian general Hannibal used a feint, a deceptive move, to draw the Roman forces into a trap. He deliberately weakened the center of his line, enticing the Romans to attack. As they pushed forward, Hannibal's troops enveloped them from the sides, trapping them in a deadly encirclement. This was a classic example of the double envelopment tactic, an audacious move that resulted in a crushing victory for Hannibal. But it wasn't just about the physical maneuvers on the battlefield. Psychological warfare was also a key part of the strategy. The Siege of Alesia in 52 BCE is a prime example. Julius Caesar, the Roman general, besieged the Gallic town of Alesia, cutting off its supply lines. But he didn't stop there. He built a second wall around his own forces, creating a double siege. This was a psychological masterstroke. The Gauls, seeing the Romans trapped along with them, believed that they could outlast the Romans. But Caesar had other plans. He had already secured a second supply line, ensuring his troops would not starve. The Gauls, unaware of this, held out until they were too weak to resist, resulting in a decisive Roman victory. These battles illustrate how the classical era was not just about the clash of swords and shields. It was about the mind games, the cunning maneuvers, and the intricate strategies. It was about turning the tide of battle not just with strength, but with intelligence and planning. The classical era marked the birth of strategy as we know it today, but as we'll see, the evolution of warfare was far from over. In the Middle Ages, warfare was dominated by the castle and the knight. This era, steeped in chivalry and feudalism, saw the rise of castles and fortified cities. These monoliths of stone and mortar were not just homes for the nobility, but strategic strongholds that played pivotal roles in warfare. Castles with their towering walls, moats, and drawbridges served as impenetrable fortifications. They were symbols of power, designed to intimidate and deter potential attackers. But they were not just passive structures. In the event of a siege, these fortresses became active agents of defense, their well-stocked arsenals and strategic vantage points providing a nearly insurmountable advantage to their inhabitants. The Siege of Orleans in the 100 Years' War stands as a prime example of the crucial role castles played in battles, acting as a bastion against the relentless English forces. The Middle Ages also witnessed the rise of the knight, the armored horseman who became the backbone of medieval warfare. Knights were a formidable force on the battlefield, their heavy armor and powerful war horses allowing them to charge through enemy lines with devastating impact. This era saw the development of sophisticated cavalry tactics that capitalized on the knight's strength and mobility. One notable example is the Battle of Agincourt during the 100 Years' War, where the English knights, though outnumbered, used clever tactics to decimate the French cavalry, turning the tide of the war. The knight and the castle, the cavalry and the stronghold, became inextricably linked. Together they formed a dynamic duo that shaped the warfare of the Middle Ages, their influence resonating through the annals of military history. So, from the rudimentary tactics of our Stone Age ancestors to the sophisticated strategies of the Middle Ages, warfare has been a defining feature of human history. And as history continues to unfold, who knows what new tactics will emerge.